Ladies and gentlemen, Bulgaria. What do you know about Bulgaria? I mean, this was just one of those countries that I went to because I found cheap flights to it and I had no idea what to expect. As you probably get used to it in all of these freaking stories, I never know anything, I never plan anything, and I just really go with the flow. What was happening this time? It was I was living in Italy, and I had this whole Ferragosto, which means everybody in Italy just doesn't work in August. It's like a whole month worth of vacation. I know it sounds foreign to you, North American people over here listening to me, but in Europe, a lot of people actually just get like a whole month or like 45 days worth of vacation days per year. So it's not like really out of the ordinary, and it's not actually something that's like special for them. Anyways, I had this, flight, to Sofia, which is the capital of Bulgaria, and it's just this like amazing city. I just, just to jump into it, like just getting there, landing and just walking to the hostel, like I knew that this was like a city that was gonna blow my mind. There were just stray dogs everywhere with tags on it, and just like these big Orthodox churches, and it just looked like the type of place that had a lot of history happen there. And I just love history. I love these types of architectural like anomalies when you see like a church from one place and maybe like a mosque from another place, and Bulgaria is really like that freaking country because for those of you who don't know, Bulgaria is like right, like the edge of the Balkans, which is like, like Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, all of those like countries. Kind of go into Bosnia into Bulgaria, and that's like the gateway to Turkey. And like they're just like right in the middle, and like all of those countries were kind of conquered by the Ottomans, which is like the historical Turkish people. And so it's just like a really, really cool place to be because you have all of this Orthodox kind of tradition and massive. I think it's the biggest Orthodox church in the world in Sofia, and you get to go there. Obviously, I ended up going there, but it was just a really cool place because just starting off, like getting there that first night, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to eat, I didn't know what was traditional, and I very quickly realized in the airport that I had no idea how to read Cyrillic. So upon getting to the hostel, checking in, getting my room, whatever, I was like, okay, like if I have to do anything tonight, it's not go out because I was really exhausted. A travel day towards Bari to get there, and I had just like fractured my collarbone with a scooter accident, so I wasn't really trying to party too much because I needed to take it easy on it. And what ended up happening was just like I said, screw it. I sat down and I decided to learn how to read Cyrillic. And then, which might sound crazy, but it's a phonetic alphabet. So more or less, you just learn what the equivalencies are in, English or in the Latin Roman alphabet. And so I was able to like go out into like the world the next day, just saying like, okay, I don't know what the fuck I'm reading, but really like it's just freaking cool that I'm able to, read these things now. And it was cool because, I went for like call it breakfast. I, ended up finding this little corner store that just sells all kinds of goods. But what you realize really soon in Bulgaria or anywhere you go in the Balkans is that all of these little corner stores have their own little kind of like food that they prepare, and they kind of have in like a buffet kind of, not a buffet, but like a cafeteria kind of way. So you can get your little, plastic containers filled with whether it's ivar or cheese or like some, tomato or something like casserole. I don't know what it is. Like they have all these like traditional foods that they serve in these tiny little shops, in these little corner stores. Convenience stores are extremely convenient because you can eat there. And so I didn't really know what I was getting. I just kind of pointed at a few things, but I knew that while reading one thing that it said paprika. And so I was like, what? Paprika is a spice, right? But apparently that's the word for pepper in Serbo-Croatian or Bulgarian as well, because that's not actually the same language, but they're all, in the same family. And it was really cool because, I just felt very confident about my ability to then navigate whatever it was. And what do you do when you get to a capital city and you don't know anybody and you didn't meet anybody in a hostel? You go to the free walking tour. And what was cool about this free walking tour was that you actually get to like go hike up a mountain. And so it's like really non-traditional. It's not like you're walking around the city of Sofia and you're kind of getting that experience. No, you're literally like leaving the city. You're taking a bus with everybody and you're walking up a mountain. And so what was really awesome about Sofia was that walking up that mountain, obviously you start meeting whoever's on their free walking tour, and I was alone. So I ended up making two friends, one Bulgarian friend and one Taiwanese friend, as well as these four Italian girls who were from Bari, which just so happened to be a city that I'd been to previously, a city I may have mentioned on this podcast as well, and the city that I flew into Sofia from and would have and will have like later on, later, to get back into Italy and back to Catanzaro, which is where I lived. So it was really cool to make that friendship, knowing like, hey, like, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks when this trip's over, or when this leg of the trip is over, like we should meet up in Bari and hang out. And we did, obviously, multiple times at this point now in 2020. But in 2017, it was cool because, you walk up this mountain and they're, Italians, and like they're not used to just walking up mountains, especially they're southern Italians. Bari's in the south. So in Puglia, there's not really many mountains, and these were definitely more like city girl kind of attitude. So just watching them, I guess, suffer to get up to what was supposed to be like a really beautiful waterfall, and just like them suffering and like almost giving up and falling and slipping. Marta was kind of like the clumsy one, and it was really cool because that whole thing was just like this experience. It's like seeing different people who are either used to or not used to hiking to different degrees, and just being able to see that and just push them and be like, all right, screw it, like we're going to this waterfall, we're gonna go and do all of this stuff, and it was cool. And we became friends. We went out for drinks, and we decided that we were going to travel together later on. And we finished our night like getting a few beers in a bar in Sofia, and we planned to go to Plovdiv together. And for those of you who don't know, Plovdiv is, I believe, the oldest city in Europe. Now, you can correct me if you guys are trying to tell me that I'm wrong, but there are like crazy things to do in Plovdiv. I think I might just save that for the next episode because I still have quite a bit to say about Sofia. Aside from having, like this huge Orthodox church, it's just really nice to explore Sofia for the reason of like just seeing that the metro stations are completely filled with Roman ruins, like from like the Roman Empire. And if you look at the map of the Roman Empire historically, they extended all the way to like Romania and Turkey and things like that, and so Bulgaria is obviously part of that. So this has as much Roman history as any other place in Italy or in Western or Europe or Northern Africa or whatever. And so it was really cool because as they're like making these metros and maybe they're trying to build a mosque or they're trying to build a church or something, they get to like a brick, they just see this brick and they're like, wait a second, this is not a normal brick. This looks like a historical brick. And then they find out, and tune in for the Plovdiv episode, that this is like a Roman ruin. And so then they need to kind of adjust their metro system around that. So something very similar to what you get in the city of Rome when they're trying to build these metro stations and then they just like excavate something and then it's like suddenly an archaeological site. Bulgaria has so much of that, and they have these like ancient Roman roads. I think they also had the one of those Arc de Triomphe, like the triumphant arcs. It was just really, really amazing and beautiful place to go. Sofia is just like one of those capital cities that like you could drink in a park, as you can in Europe, but like they have these little like bars. And so they had all these little tiny bars in the park that you could just kind of hop from one to the other, and a little bit overpriced relative to Bulgarian prices. But it was just insane to be able to have that experience. And in a park, I ended up meeting a dude who was a tour guide at the time. And he was really cool because he spoke English and he was able to give me a lot of the history and like, how the Ottomans came and how, Bulgaria actually was never part of the Soviet Union, even though it's like right there. And it was like cornered between, Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union. And they did have communism, but they were not part of, either of the two. So they kind of had their own, pride in never I guess, conceding to any of those two nations, along with having, Turkey to the other side is a really big, like, powerhouse nation kind of area. And Bulgaria is just like right in the middle of it, which is cool. And it dates back to, ancient Greeks as well, who, as they were going into Anatolia and things like that, they had to pass through Bulgaria. So it's just one of these countries, and Sofia is one of those places that has more history than you can mention in one episode, and it's just so incredibly beautiful to see these ancient, like, Orthodox churches and ancient mosques and things like that that are just so foreign to people who travel to mainly Western European, like, destinations. So lots of kudos to that city, because, like, there's just trams and amazing food, and I just can't even go over how amazing it was. And like when you get into like that main huge cathedral or basilica, it was just insane, just like pure marble, like pillars that are just made like out of one massive marble stone. And it's just like mind boggling how they could even create that and just have this grandiose, like, I don't know. It's like if you've been to Budapest, like you've seen crazy root, like, basilicas like that, but like not even as big, and you've seen like all of the marble and the granite, and it's just like scale it up twice as big, and like, Sofia was really, really cool. And with that, I think I'm just gonna keep this episode at that, because I have a lot that I want to say about Plovdiv that I'll talk about in the next episode. So thank you. Stay tuned. Stay safe out there. And yeah, toast out.